Most Charleston suburbs have you choose between living close to downtown or living close to the beaches. But Mount Pleasant is the best of both worlds because you're just 10 minutes over this bridge to downtown and 10 minutes to Sullivan's Island and Isle of Palms beaches. Mount Pleasant has something for everyone. From historic waterfront mansions to beautiful new home communities with all the amenities, you truly can have your choice of both worlds. And home prices have gone up almost 10% in the last 12 months alone, making it not just a wonderful place to live, but a sound investment. Today, I'm going to take you on a driving tour of all of Mount Pleasant so that you can see why it's become Charleston's #1 suburb. So we're going to kick this tour off at the Charleston Memorial Waterfront Park. This pier right here is the longest in the southeast, 1,250 feet. You can get tackle from the tackle shop right at the base of the bridge, and you can fish right off the pier. And if you have kids, it's a great park right here with lots of playground equipment and things to do. Also, they've just added new basketball courts, a water splash pad, and a CrossFit mega gym for people to have fun right here at the park. Now we're gonna get in the car and take a look at the rest of Mount Pleasant. Okay, as we leave the base of the Ravenel Bridge, our first stop is Coleman Boulevard, Shem Creek, and historic Old Village. Come on. So heading out of Memorial Waterfront Park, we are heading over to the Patriots Point area. That's where the USS Yorktown is stationed, which was a real warship used. And also the Patriots Point Golf Course, which is a really nice golf course right on the Charleston Harbor. Some very difficult holes on that course and some really beautiful holes on that course. To my left, we've got some condos that overlook the Charleston Harbor. These condos are really expensive because they've got incredible views and they are literally 5 minutes from downtown. You've got the Renaissance is one set of condos, and the other ones on the other side of Highway 17 are called the Tides. Both are really great options if you don't want a yard and you just want to have a high-end luxury condo with great security and great amenities. The street that you come up to from Patriots Point, at the base of this bridge, Ravenel Bridge separates in two ways. If you head to the right as you're coming off the bridge into Mount Pleasant, you go onto Coleman Boulevard, which is where we are right now. If you veer to the left or stay straight coming off the Ravenel Bridge when you get into Mount Pleasant, you're on Highway 17, which is the main thoroughfare of Mount Pleasant. Coleman Boulevard is really special because on Coleman you've got Shem Creek. Coleman is also the road that heads to Sullivan's Island over the Sullivan's Island Bridge and gives you access to Old Village. Really good dining option here on the left on Coleman, Taverna. That's one of the best restaurants in Mount Pleasant. This development coming up here on the right is called the Harkin. These are new townhome style homes that are going to be coming in the mid $2 million range. And again, they're so expensive and so valuable because they're right at the base of the bridge, and so there's no traffic to getting anywhere in Charleston. It's about as good of a location as you can get, and you're like a bike ride or a walk to Shem Creek. On the right-hand side, we've got Kickin' Chicken. Left is Juanita Greenberg's and Bodega. Vicious Biscuits, a really cool breakfast place over here. To the left is a neighborhood called Cooper Estates, and it's where I met my wife. So she lived back there in a townhome community called Bay Tree, and I lived over on James Island. And we met for the first time at this restaurant right on the right, which is called Water's Edge. It's right on Shem Creek, and we had a beer for the first time sitting over Shem Creek. Across the creek, you can see Red's, which is a really popular spot. Tavern and Table is a little bit more high-end and delicious, but Shem Creek is always happening. It's like the spot to be in Mount Pleasant. On the right is Nico. Nico is like a seafood restaurant here in Mount Pleasant. It's also delicious. And we are veering off Coleman, going straight on what is called Wilden or Royal Avenue. And this is the way into historic Old Village, Mount Pleasant. Something pretty special is happening today in Old Village. That show, The Outer Banks, is not filmed in the Outer Banks. The Outer Banks is actually filmed right in Charleston, South Carolina. I don't know why they did a film about, or a TV show about North Carolina in Charleston, but that's just the way it goes. Today they are doing a scene where there's a Category 4 hurricane in the TV show Outer Banks. And so the police have blocked off everything in the historic district of Old Village for the filming of the hurricane scene. If we can turn our camera here, we can see the police cars and maybe we can get a glimpse of what their hurricane looks like down the street there. There's the camera crews set up. Earlier today we saw like they simulated lots of rain and wind and it looked crazy. Up on the left of Old Village, we've got the Old Village pickleball courts. It is rare that we don't see these pickleball courts absolutely packed with pickleball players any morning. So you come out at 7 a.m. any morning, summer, winter, fall, spring, and you're gonna have pickleball players right there. One of the things that makes Old Village really unique and special is that some of these homes were built in the 1800s, and they've got an Old Village Historic Foundation that reviews anybody that's looking to build a home here or make modifications to their homes here. The homes have to look like they fit and belong with that old late 1800s architecture. Big oak trees in this neighborhood. It's really one of the most special parts of all of Charleston, and it's why it's so expensive. Median prices in Old Village are around $2 million, and you can certainly spend more than that if you get a waterfront home or if you get a home right on Pitt Street, but it's just a really special neighborhood. The local public elementary school is right in the neighborhood, so kids will bike to school. That's Mount Pleasant Academy. And then the middle school is also located right in the neighborhood. That's Moultrie Middle School. So it's kind of like a Leave It to Beaver style neighborhood where kids can bike to elementary school, bike to middle school, and then there's a Old Village pharmacy that serves ice cream. So when the kids would get out of school, they'll bike over and get ice cream with their friends. It's wholesome living. It's a really great place to be. Pitt Street used to be the main street of Mount Pleasant. It's where the Mount Pleasant Fire Station was, where the police station was, where the meeting house was. There's a street called Ferry Street, and it's called Ferry Street because that is where people would take the ferry from Mount Pleasant to downtown Charleston before we had the Ravenel Bridge. Sometimes you'll feel on Pitt Street it's a little bit bumpy, and those bumps are actually the railroad tracks that are underneath the street on Pitt Street, because for a long time there was a railroad car that would go down Pitt Street and come across what we're entering right now, which is the Pitt Street Bridge, and people would go from Mount Pleasant, or they'd actually come from downtown Charleston, take the ferry to Mount Pleasant, and then they would take a trolley car over Pitt Street and over the Pitt Street Bridge to get to the beach and their summer house on Sullivan's Island, which is right at the end of this bridge. Now the Pitt Street Bridge doesn't actually go all the way to Sullivan's Island. It's more of a recreational park. It's a really cool place in Mount Pleasant to come and have a picnic or just go for a walk and look at the beautiful homes on the backside of Sullivan's Island. So here on Pitt Street, near the Pitt Street Bridge, we've got some really remarkable new construction homes. I love this house. The one next to it sold for $7 million. A big social media influencer used to live there, and it was very well decorated and well appointed, and it's a newer construction home, and that was a great price for Old Village being non-waterfront. As you head down Center Street off of Pitt Street, you head towards the water. Again, just beautiful big oak trees. And this lot where this house is being constructed right here, I think sold for $6 million. There was just a little one-story home there that they tore down, and now they're building just an extraordinary house. They're probably putting another 5 or 6 into the construction. So that house will be $12 million waterfront, looking at the Charleston waterfront harbor there and having a dock that you could boat with and have jet skis. Now we're heading up Middle Street in Old Village, and Middle Street is famous because Alhambra Hall sits on Middle Street. Alhambra Hall is a very popular place for weddings or engagement parties. It's here on the left. It's been around, I think, since the early 1900s. This is the hall here. That's where my wife and I were married. And you've got this beautiful big lawn out back. And then the hall is a great place to have weddings. And across the street, the Alhambra Hall Play Park. It was just completely redone in 2025 with new equipment, and it is always a popular spot for birthday parties and kids just coming out and playing. And we just turned on to McCants, and McCants crosses Pitt and heads up back towards Coleman, where we're gonna take a look at some other neighborhoods. So McCants has a lot of new construction going on. Our office is actually representing a house listed for 2.7 that was a tear down on McCants, and developers have developed a brand new, beautiful home right here on this street, but it's not the only one that's going up. I think there are 5 new construction houses underway. McCants is not the most ideal street to live on because it is a well-traveled road. So it's one of the reasons why you can get tear downs on this street and why so many people are buying tear downs on this street is that people are okay selling their house just because McCants is kind of a busy road. And so if you have kids, you might not want to live right on this street. Some of our good friends bought a house with us on McCants, and then as their kids became of the age that they wanted to bike and things like that, we sold that house for them, and then they moved up further into Old Village, where it's a little bit calmer on the streets. We can see here on the right, this is one of the new construction homes going up on McCants. On the right there is another one that was just finished. On the left, coming up, is a Matt O'Neill real estate sign. That's the one that our developer just finished, and it's a beautiful home, really well appointed. And then up on the left here is a house that's under construction, and to the left is another vacant lot. So there used to be a yellow house right here that had a double lot. I always envied this lot, and somebody bought that, and now they're putting up 2 new construction homes right here. And then again on the right, here's one more that's underway on construction. So if you're looking to get into Old Village and you want to have new construction, there's plenty of it right on McCants. I've got a good friend that lives in these houses here on McCants, and they really love it. There was another house, I think on the right, that we just passed, that sold for $5 million. So even though it's McCants and it's a busy street, it's still Old Village, and it's the most desirable neighborhood in Mount Pleasant. Hey, if we haven't met yet, my name's Matt O'Neill. I'm a Charleston local. I've been helping families move here for the last 20 years. And I post videos about different communities in Charleston every week, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you stay in the know with what's going on in Charleston. Okay, we have just left Old Village and we headed up McCants and crossed Coleman. We are now on a street called Rifle Range. Rifle Range is a wonderful street because it travels parallel to Highway 17. It gives you 2 thoroughfares of Mount Pleasant. Highway 17 is the major thoroughfare, but Rifle Range is another alternative. So many people want to live off of Rifle Range, and it's because you get to stay off the main road and you get really close to Shem Creek and Coleman Boulevard, and it's a different way to get to the beaches and to get downtown. This neighborhood on our right, called Scotts Creek, which has homes that were built in the 2010s, really nice neighborhood. If you live in Scotts Creek, you've got your choice of either going to Sullivan's Island if you turn left out of there, or turn right and we'll head up to the Isle of Palms connector. So Rifle Range is a really desirable street to live off of rather than going over to the Highway 17 area. The first roundabout of Rifle Range, we've got Oak Haven. So if we were to head right in here, we go to Oak Haven, which is a neighborhood built in, I think, the 80s, but a lot of nice homes there. And if we had turned all the way down that roundabout, we would have gone up past Bowman Road. And Bowman Road is where you have Dick's Sporting Goods and a Fresh Fields Market, and that's where my real estate office is located, is right off of Bowman Road. We come up to the second roundabout on Rifle Range, and this roundabout, if we go right, has a neighborhood called Daybreak, which is along the Charleston Harbor. And to the left is Venning Road. Off of Venning Road, there is a daycare called Children's Discovery Center. My kids went to that daycare. People are super nice. They take really good care of kids. Up Venning, if we had turned right on Venning, we would have headed over to the town center, which has got the movie theater, lots of restaurant options, and the best shopping options in Mount Pleasant, and really some of the best shopping other than King Street and all of Charleston is at the town center. we'll view that in a little bit. Heading further up Rifle Range, there's a neighborhood called Lakeshore. A lot of people love living in Lakeshore. The houses in there are mostly brick, and they follow this huge man-made canal system and man-made lake system where you can take like little paddle boats and things like that from all around the entire neighborhood. On the right here is Seaside Farms. This is a very expensive neighborhood, and for good reason. Seaside Farms has got big houses, and Fiddler Cove is another area right up here. These two areas are right off of the Isle of Palms connector. So the next two lights that we're gonna see are a great shopping center where Target is located, and then the next light is the Isle of Palms connector, and that's how you get to the beach. This shopping center on the right is called Shops at Seaside Farms. Really great Thai restaurant in there called Basil. It's upscale Thai. There's also a restaurant called Crave. It's got good food. It's a nice spot in Mount Pleasant. If we head right on the Isle of Palms connector, we'll end up right at the Isle of Palms Pier. And we got some shots of me surfing on the Isle of Palms Pier. That's a good thing to do if you live in Mount Pleasant, is head up to Isle of Palms and go to the beach. It's a wonderful beach. And on some days you got nice waves and you can get some good surfing. The Isle of Palms connector is really the dividing line of Mount Pleasant, where everything closer to downtown from the Isle of Palms connector is considered South Mount Pleasant. When you go past the Isle of Palms connector, either on Highway 17 or on Rifle Range, you're in what's considered North Mount Pleasant. And prices between South Mount Pleasant and North Mount Pleasant are different. If you're in South Mount Pleasant, the prices are higher. And the reason is you're closer to downtown. If you're in North Mount Pleasant, prices are still high. The median price of all Mount Pleasant is $940,000, but they're not quite as high. And it's because you've got a further drive to get to downtown Charleston. So we're gonna explore the other side of South Mount Pleasant. We'll go take a look at some of those neighborhoods like Ion and Molasses Creek and things like that. And then we'll head over to North Mount Pleasant later in this video and take a look at what's going on the north side. So right in here, this is part of that whole town center shopping plaza. You've got a breakfast place called Toast. There's also a place back here called King Street Grill. King Street Grill is really nice. They've got good salads, and it's a really cool place to watch football games. They've got a play park in the back if you want to go there and watch a game, but your kids also don't want to be bored. That's a good spot to go. So this is part of town center, and this first section in here is where Trader Joe's grocery store is located. There's also a milkshake place in here that my kids love. The Foot store is a really great running store. Ahead of us is Tsunami, and that's a sushi place. Now this shopping center where Trader Joe's is and the shopping center where King Street Grill is are not actually considered part of town center, but they're located just adjacent to the actual town center, and it's kind of the same vibe and feel. I was part of a focus group 10 years ago where they were asking realtors what type of product they should build, and they were building these townhomes directly across the street from town center. Such a good location, because if you could live in a townhome right across the street from the town center, the movie theater's here, the Trader Joe's shopping is here, you literally can walk to and anything that you'd like to do or buy or see is right here across the street from where you live. So we've now entered the official town center parking lot. They built this parking garage right here. And if we don't park in the parking garage but head down to this roundabout, you've got Savvy Cucina. It's one of the best Italian restaurants and wine bars in Mount Pleasant. And on the right-hand side is the movie theater of Mount Pleasant. I don't know how much longer movie theaters will be in business, but hopefully a long time, because that Palmetto Grand is a great place to see a movie. We'll go take a look at some of the shops and dining that you get in town center Mount Pleasant. My kids love to go to Lush, which is a place you get bath bombs and candles. Really nice Barnes & Noble. Again, I don't know how long bookstores will be in business, but this Barnes & Noble always seems to be doing really well. Old Navy. You've got a Lululemon, an American Eagle, and an Athleta. In front of us is the Belk. So that's like the main anchor store of town center. And when you move to Charleston, you're gonna need to pick something that's very important. Everyone's gonna ask you this question. Are you a Clemson fan or are you a South Carolina Gamecocks fan? And once you pick, you can go into that store, Palmetto Moon, and you can buy either your Clemson gear or your Charleston Gamecocks gear and support your team. But you're not allowed to move here and not pick. You have to pick. And then your choice is gonna make you friends, and it's also gonna make you some enemies. So pick wisely. The other anchor of town center is Lowe's. So the Lowe's, big Lowe's stores at the end of town center. As we leave town center, across the street is a Starbucks, and we're gonna be heading back on Highway 17 of South Mount Pleasant to take a look at the neighborhoods that are on this side of Mount Pleasant, but still South Mount Pleasant. So the street we're coming up on right here is Venning, and if you remember, Venning is one of the streets that we passed on the second roundabout off a rifle range. If we head up Venning to the right, it turns into Mathis Ferry. Mathis Ferry is the third parallel street. So it goes rifle range and then Highway 17 that we're on, and then Mathis Ferry runs on this side of South Mount Pleasant along neighborhoods like Ion and Old Park. So we'll end up heading up Mathis Ferry in just a moment, but first we're gonna take a look at what South Mount Pleasant looks like from Highway 17 and what's up along here. This is more of the business district of Mount Pleasant. So you're gonna see a lot of business on Highway 17. The Walmart of South Mount Pleasant is up here on the left at this stoplight. There's a second Walmart in Mount Pleasant. It's located in the Northern Shopping Center up off of North Mount Pleasant. But in this Walmart shopping center, you've got Michael's and Petco and Marshall Fields and different restaurants and things like that. A lot of different like eye care specialists and dentists and lawyers and all the different types of businesses that you would need are going to be located mainly on Highway 17, and your neighborhoods are located more off of either Mathis Ferry or Rifle Range, which are the two areas that we'll continue to talk about as South Mount Pleasant neighborhoods. At this light, this is called Dragoon Drive, and if you were to turn left at Dragoon, there's a neighborhood called Creekside. And Creekside has got a tennis club. Anyone can join the Creekside Tennis Club. So if you live South Mount Pleasant and you're looking for a tennis club, Creekside's a great option. They've also got a pool. You can become a member of their pool. So if you don't have a neighborhood pool, because a lot of the older neighborhoods in Mount Pleasant don't have a pool, you can join Creekside's pool. So we continue to head south on Highway 17. We're getting very close to the Arthur Ravenel Bridge, where we started our tour. But before we get onto the bridge, which would take us downtown, we're gonna make a right onto Mathis Ferry. And Mathis Ferry is that street that we passed earlier, that Venning turns into. It makes a big loop from the base of the bridge, Arthur Ravenel Bridge, back up to Venning Street, and off of Mathis Ferry are some great neighborhoods in South Mount Pleasant that we'll take a look at next. Okay, we just turned on to Mathis Ferry, and just to the left is Sweetgrass Cycles. That is the best bicycle store in Charleston. Highly recommend if you move here and you need to get a bike for you or your kids or anyone that you know, check out Sweetgrass Cycles. Mathis Ferry also is a street of roundabouts. Our first roundabout on Mathis Ferry is gonna take us into a neighborhood called Scanlanville, and Remley's Point is back there. Some waterfront homes, some houses really on big, deep water are back there where you can have a dock and you can have big boats on the Wando River. This is a kind of changing area. So there's some older homes and then there's some new houses that are going up in this very first section. I think it's a super desirable area because how close you are to the bridge. Our second roundabout at Mathis Ferry, and there's some older neighborhoods that head up that roundabout, but we're gonna be heading up to the third roundabout, which will take us into the second most popular neighborhood next to Old Village in South Mount Pleasant, Ion. Here's where Ion starts at Low Country Boulevard. This roundabout is a street called Shellmore. Off of Shellmore is a shopping center with Vintage Coffee, which is a great coffee spot. and also the entrance into the main business district of Ion. And this is such a fun, adorable, amazing neighborhood. It was built in the 1990s, designed to look like old downtown Charleston. It's got narrow streets and narrow houses, but man, is it cool. Up here is O'Brien's, which is the Irish pub of South Mount Pleasant, and the Shelmore is an underrated and not known spot in Charleston, but the food there is incredible. But here on this Shelmore Drive in Ion, you can just see how beautiful this neighborhood is. If you notice the way that the houses look, the colors that they have, it looks like Rainbow Row. So Ion has reproduced a modern downtown Charleston, but in Mount Pleasant, and it is just a very popular place, and for good reason. It's a wonderful neighborhood. Houses in here are pretty expensive. Again, you're really close to downtown, but there are kids that run around all over here. They're on their bikes, they're playing with fiddler crabs in the creeks back here. They're playing basketball in each other's yards. You see people walking their dogs all the time. There's a bird estuary just to our right. And if we continue down this street on Shelmore, we'll run into a wedding venue. And at that wedding venue is the start of Ion's natural marshfront walking trail. And that walking trail is 3 miles long along the backside of Ion, and it's the most beautiful walking trail in all of Mount Pleasant. We're gonna go right at our first roundabout in Ion, and we'll come to one of Ion's 2 man-made lakes. Lakefront houses in Ion are expensive, again, because you get a really nice lakefront view. These lakes are not lakes that you can put motorized vehicles on, but you can get out there in a rowboat or paddleboard. People will be fishing out there sometimes. You can feed the ducks. It's a really fun activity to do. Ion is a beautiful neighborhood to walk during Christmas time. People really do up their homes with Christmas lights. And in this venue right here on this lake, sometimes they'll have concerts right here on the lake. And people will come out here and set up and have a picnic and watch the concert. This particular tree is just so cool the way it hangs over the street. So Ion was really intentional at keeping the natural beauty of Charleston. They didn't just clear cut everything like some of these new neighborhoods do. They were very intentional about making it feel old and charming, because it is. This spot, Ponsbury, comes to the second man-made lake of Ion. And you can see there's walking trails that you can't take your car down, but this neighborhood is such a fun neighborhood to walk. You can walk all along these, the man-made lakes, and underneath right here, there's canals that connect the 2 lakes, and you can walk along the canals. Houses that are along the canals are also pretty valuable and expensive. You can see down on this side, the houses on this side of the lake are kind of look like colonial lake houses that are downtown on the man-made lake downtown, which is called Colonial Lake. Just a really, really cool neighborhood. Ion is not a neighborhood that was made of cookie cutter, track-built homes. Like Old Village, the houses in Ion are custom. So had really different architects, high-end builders. Everyone chose their architect and chose their builder, and so every house has its own character, its own style. You're gonna see lots of different styles in here as people express themselves through their architecture. But mostly it's Charleston single style, feeling like old downtown Charleston. Straight ahead, we have a path that leads to the garages of these houses. So one of the ways that Ion was set up is you'll see a lot of cars parked along the streets, but behind the houses are little alleyways, and people will have garages in back, and that's where they store their cars, but then they park along the streets as well. Okay, one neighborhood over from Ion is another very expensive and exclusive neighborhood of South Mount Pleasant called Old Park. Old Park is Ion's older sister, developed just around the same time, maybe just a little bit before. What you'll notice about Old Park is the lots are just bigger. So you have bigger lots, bigger houses. The price point steps up, maybe $500,000 from Ion to Old Park. and it steps up just because the lots are a little bit bigger. This is one of Old Park's man-made lakes. It's really a retention pond. It was designed well. The whole neighborhood was designed really well. If we head further down that way, you cross a bridge and get to the back side of Old Park, where you've got homes that are along the marsh there, looking at the Wando River. Those are gonna be the most exclusive homes at Old Park. Okay, heading up Mathis Ferry, we come to Bowman Road. And if you remember Bowman Road, that's the road that connects us back to Highway 17 at that overpass, and then also connects us up to Rifle Range. Past Bowman Road, we come up to Point Pleasant neighborhood, which is a neighborhood off of Mathis Ferry that was built in the 1980s, I believe. And then this neighborhood up here on the left is a pretty popular neighborhood as well. This is Waukendall Lakes. Waukendall has got some houses that are along that Wando River as well. Again, a little bit older than Ion and Old Park. So the houses are gonna have the 1980s architecture, but super nice area, super nice location. Continuing down Mathis Ferry, we're gonna get to a hospital area where there's lots of healthcare options. We just turned off of Mathis Ferry back onto Highway 17, and we're gonna head back up past the town center. We can see Lowe's is coming up here on our right. And when we pass town center, we're gonna be passing the Isle of Palms connector. And once we pass the Isle of Palms connector, we are officially in North Mount Pleasant. We're gonna talk about what's wonderful about the neighborhoods up in North Mount Pleasant next. Right here to our left is Snee Farm. Snee Farm used to be the farthest point of Mount Pleasant. And people used to think, man, you live out in Snee Farm, you live at the edge of town. No more. Snee Farm is now like mid Mount Pleasant. Snee Farm is a really great neighborhood. They've got a private golf course in there. There's a clubhouse, there's a pool, there's tennis center, great tennis center. So Snee Farm is a great option for families, a great option for golfers. It's not crazy expensive to join their golf club, and houses in there were built in the 90s, but it's no longer the edge of Mount Pleasant, it's the center of Mount Pleasant. Snee Farm is almost across the street from the town center, and you'd think the center of town, and it's really kind of that dividing line between South Mount Pleasant and North Mount Pleasant. We're coming up here to Brickyard Plantation. Brickyard is one of the premier neighborhoods in North Mount Pleasant. It's not quite as far down the way as Dunes West, Park West, Rivertown, Charleston National that we're going to talk about next, but it's still a North Mount Pleasant neighborhood. Houses are made mostly of brick. Across the street from Brickyard is Jack's Cosmic Dogs. It is one of the staples of Mount Pleasant. It's been featured in different food and in TV shows and things like that. It's just a great hot dog place. Up on our right in North Mount Pleasant is the Oakland Market. This is where the other Walmart is. This is also where the other Chick-fil-A is. This is the North Mount Pleasant shopping center. On the left is a neighborhood called Ivy Hall. Ivy Hall has houses in the 800s. On the left, we'll also see Mellow Mushroom, which is the pizza place in North Mount Pleasant. And as we head up this way, where we are heading is towards Georgetown or Myrtle Beach, Litchfield. Highway 17, if we continue down Highway 17 for another hour from where we are right now, we will reach Myrtle Beach in Georgetown and Litchfield. We just turned into the Carolina Park neighborhood. You've got some shopping up front in Carolina Park, some businesses like pharmacies and professional people like attorneys and dentist office and things like that. At the entrance to Carolina Park on our right-hand side, we're going to be heading up to Wando High School. So this used to be the only high school in Mount Pleasant, and it is a very large high school, and it is a high school that has great test scores, has great athletics, and is a good spot for your kids to go. This was before they built the second high school, which is Lucy Beckham. Back here in Carolina Park, there's a huge sports complex as well. Big soccer fields and basketball courts, and it's a really big area. They've got a dog park up there as well. So one of the things about all these new neighborhoods in North Mount Pleasant is there are very thoughtful ways for kids to have places to play, adults to have places to do things and play. Great amenities in these North Mount Pleasant neighborhoods. So Mount Pleasant has a pretty impressive park system. There's Palmetto Islands County Park that has 943 acres with trails and it's along the water as well. Laurel Hill Community Park has 745 acres of natural beauty with multiple trail options. We already saw the Pitt Street Bridge, and there's also dozens of neighborhood parks and playgrounds and sports fields like we've seen throughout some of these neighborhoods we've gone through. Being near the water is a huge part of life in Mount Pleasant. Multiple public boat ramps, some on Shem Creek. Many in areas like Dunes West have their own community docks. People like to fish and paddleboard and boat all year round. The town has miles of trails of walking and biking. You're gonna find tennis courts and pickleball courts all over town. Golf lovers are gonna enjoy courses like Snee Farm, Dunes West, Charleston National, Rivertown Country Club. The town is also building a trail system called the Mount Pleasant Way. This multi-use path will eventually connect the whole Mount Pleasant. Let's talk a little bit about shopping and dining. We've already seen some of the dining and shopping in the town center, but Coleman Boulevard gives you a lot of local shopping and dining experience as well. One area that we didn't drive past is Bell Hall. And Bell Hall is another exclusive neighborhood in Mount Pleasant. It's kind of in mid-Mount Pleasant, and Bell Hall has a shopping center anchored by Harris Teeter and has lots of casual dining. You can find everything from fitness to beauty to banking. That's off of Long Point Road. Long Point Road is also home of Seacoast Church, which is one of the biggest mega churches in all of the Southeast. That whole area, the Bell Hall area, is really family friendly. There's a Bell Hall school system over there for great public schools. Dining in Mount Pleasant is incredible. Obviously, we talked about the spots in Shem Creek along the water, but beyond Shem Creek, you've got places like Page's Okra Grill, Lola Rose has Mediterranean food, Grace and Grit has traditional low country food. You're gonna find everything from Thai to Japanese to Mediterranean to Mexican, all here in Mount Pleasant. Let's talk about transportation. The Arthur Ravenel Bridge is our gateway to downtown Charleston. This $700 million bridge opened in 2005, replacing the old Grace Bridge. It stretches 2.5 miles over the Cooper River to downtown. The Wander's Way path lets people bike and walk across that bridge, and the bridge has totally changed Mount Pleasant by making it more accessible. Highway 17, also called Johnny Dodds, is the main road. It's the road we're on now. It runs north and south through the entire town of Mount Pleasant. So even from North Mount Pleasant, where we are now, you can get to downtown in about 15 to 20 minutes. And the airport is only 25 minutes away. Mount Pleasant keeps evolving. There's some exciting developments that make this an even better place to live and invest. The real estate market in Mount Pleasant stays strong year-round. Home prices have jumped 9.7% in just the last year. The average home is now about $960,000. Historically, it's always been a solid investment. It's up 31.5% in the last 3 years. Limited inventory means good homes are going to sell quickly. New construction is mostly happening in the north side of Mount Pleasant. The town is actively improving its infrastructure. They released a 5-year plan update in June of 2025. The Patriots Point Gateway intersection project is finally done, eliminating a major traffic bottleneck that frustrated residents for many years. Also, new bike lanes and walking paths are popping up everywhere in Mount Pleasant. Flood protection is a top priority for the town, and tech improvements are making life easier. The town launched a new GIS hub in 2025. This online tool lets you explore maps for zoning and development. As we turn left here on Porsche's Bluff, just past the Oakland Shopping Center, we're heading back to Rifle Range. But now on Rifle Range, we're gonna be in North Mount Pleasant, and we're gonna take a look at our final neighborhoods as we wrap up this tour. On our left, we're coming up to one of my favorite neighborhoods, Hamlin Plantation. Hamlin Plantation has big houses. Prices in there are 900s to the 2 million plus range. Some of the houses in Hamlin are along the waterfront and just have incredible expansive views of the marsh. And then coming up on our left past Hamlin, we've got a neighborhood called Oyster Point. Oyster Point was just developed in the last 10 years. So you're gonna have newer homes. Prices are gonna be very similar to Hamlin, but They start around $1 million and they again go up 2 million plus. And if you see one in these areas like Hamlin or Oyster Point that's in the 800s, it might sell with multiple offers and it might sell pretty fast. All right, so there you have it. That was the official driving tour of Mount Pleasant. I hope you've really enjoyed the neighborhoods that we've seen, but choosing the right neighborhood in Mount Pleasant can be tricky. And I've seen people choose the wrong neighborhood and then not enjoy it because of some of the reasons like traffic or not having the proximity to things they really wanted. So if you're thinking about making a move to Mount Pleasant, I'd love to help you. My team and I are here. You can reach out to us at mattoneilrealestate.com or email us at sales@mattoneilteam.com. But how do you know if even Mount Pleasant itself is the right suburb of Charleston for you? So to help you with that, I've ranked the best to the worst suburbs of Mount Pleasant in this next video. So take a look at that video and we'll see you on the next one.